Welcome to part 2 of the Clegg series, The Daughters of Isis, Black Women in Antiquity. I am your host, LeGrand H. Clegg II. This videotape and booklet supplement part 1 of this series, When Black Men Ruled the World, Egypt During the Golden Age. In part 1, we briefly considered the origin of the human family in Africa and then turned to the beginning of civilization, first in Nubia and then in Egypt. We dealt with Egyptian pyramids, hieroglyphic writing, medical science, literature, law, art, architecture, maritime skills, as well as the nation's political and social structure. We placed emphasis on the great pharaohs and the prominent role they played in world history. Part 1 was intended to introduce the concept of African or black men as the fathers of the human family and civilization. In Part 2, The Daughters of Isis, we broaden our focus to include black women in antiquity. For the very first time on videotape, we present a comprehensive history of the black woman in ancient times. We shall see her as the original mother, fertility idol, goddess, queen mother, and lady of the Nile. We shall very briefly trace her steps from prehistoric Africa into Europe, Western Asia, India, Southeast Asia, Australia, the Pacific Islands, and even the early New World. Then we shall return to Africa, where the record of black female achievement is very profound and long-standing. This is a bold and dynamic venture made possible by the pioneering work of many distinguished scholars and scientists whose publications are cited in the booklet that accompanies this tape. To introduce the saga of black women in world history, we first focus on Isis, an ancient and venerated deity who, for many people, has come to represent the highest form of motherhood, beauty, and virtue. To capture the essence of the Isis tradition, we interviewed Runoko Rashidi, assistant editor of the Journal of African Civilizations, inside a replica of a hidden underground Egyptian tomb, and Anita Red Terry, who is on the staff at Santa Monica Community College, in studio.
African name for Isis is Aset. Spelled, if you want to put vowels in it, A-U-S-E-T. The Egyptians, or Kamites, actually spelled it A-S-T. And the name is fundamental. The name is profound. It means the throne. What seems to suggest, now, let me digress a moment. Generally, when we see Isis, she's connected with the god Asar, or Osiris. And it is said that on the first day, a loud voice called out into the world that the king of all has come. And that king was Asar, or Osiris, and he was brought forth unto the earth, and he contributed many, many great things. The development of agriculture, all the things that we associate with early civilization. On the second day, his brother Set was born. And Set is identified with the color red. Set is just the opposite of Osiris, or Asar. And he is said, according to, I think, a story by Plutarch, not even to